has the state police and Chief Rockwell here. So at the end of the meeting, we will have some conversations about where we'd like to go with the Neighborhood Watch program insofar as whether several meetings a year, what we'd like to do with it as township residents. So I will let Supervisor Whitaker introduce the officers.
Thanks, Joanne. Hey, thanks everyone for being out here tonight, and thanks for all of you participating and being here. You guys, I guess you're going to stand, got your microphones working, so we got our trooper here, Shook, that's
Zook.
Zook. Okay.
We used to have a Shook at the post.
All right, thanks for being here tonight. And Jim Rockwell over there, I think most of you know him as our fire chief. And then we have Beth Eastie, and she'll be presenting tonight. And then also our deputy, John, everybody knows him, and he's been around here for a couple years, I believe. So it'll be interesting tonight, and hopefully these folks will share some good information for us to pull our town together, to do what's important and watching out for our neighbors and everybody joining together to put a good program together. And we appreciate the committee that and SharingSalem with them being active and putting something together. So we'd like to thank them again also tonight. All right, so whoever's next, come on up and we can get started. Thanks for being here tonight, everyone.
Thank you.
I don't have any staff, I just have general info.
Oh, okay. All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Dwayne Zook. I'm the Brighton State Police Post. Some of you guys may be aware that the Ipsy Post closed a year ago back in November, and Washtenaw County and Livingston County had merged together, so it's one post. And within that change, we have the Salem detachment, which you guys graciously gave us a whole house, so we have more troops here in Salem Township, which we really appreciate. So the services for us are still there, even though the post is closed in Washtenaw County. So, give you guys some stats. Salem Township as a whole is pretty quiet, which is a good thing. There's not a lot of violent crimes up here at all, and that's probably part of Neighborhood Watch you guys have established. You guys, calling us if there's problems, issues, suspicious people. So there's a continued need from you guys to assist us on that, because you guys are our eyes and ears out there. There's only a few of us, as you know, so if there's something suspicious, definitely call the dispatch and let us know. Let's meet someone out here. As far as stats go, for your violent crimes, we had 3 reports of criminal sexual conduct, like rapes, in the township within the last year for 2012. For your non-aggravated assaults, which would be, someone got in a physical altercation, over 15 last year for the total that the state police investigated. As far as burglaries, B&Es, so someone breaking into a residence or a business, there was 12 for last year. State police investigated. Larcenies from either a vehicle or from a building, there were a total of 18 last year. Stolen vehicles, we had 2. Fraud cases, we had 1 last year as far as counterfeiting. Other frauds, we had a total of 8. Embezzlements from different businesses, we had 2. Vandalism, we had 8, and that could be breaking into your car, smashing a window, or defacing property, we had 8 last year. As far as drug arrests, we had 2 up here, so that's definitely not an issue in this area. Looks like MIPs, we had 1 last year. People arrested on different warrants, we had 9 last year. Let's see, drunk driving arrests, we had 5 last year up here. And that's pretty much about it for Salem Township. Compared to the other townships, I have a whole list for both counties. This is a pretty quiet township, very quiet, which is good. Any questions for me as far as services go? As far as hours that we're out here, what we do, different things.
Any kind of trends heading in one direction or another?
As far as trends go, for us, we're seeing an increase in not in this township, but I guess in general, for as far as more hardened drug use amongst teens and young adults as far as heroin use, cocaine use. We're seeing an increase in that. Another thing that we like to talk about is if you have prescription medications at your house and you have your grandchildren or brothers, sisters, daughters in the house, we're seeing a lot of people steal those from the medicine cabinet, sell them, use them, and they get hooked on to opiates, and then they turn to heroin. So if you have that kind of stuff, the state police, I think the county has drop boxes to bring your medications in, drop them off, and then we discard them properly. So that's probably a trend that we see. Copper is starting on the increase as far as copper thefts. We're seeing that increased recently within both counties, Livingston and Washtenaw. That's pretty much it as far as current trends for us. That's what we have. Sir, you had a question?
I think it came out of Nixle, so I'll ask that.
Oh, I know county's on Nixle. That's a very, very good system. Yes.
But I have a question. What is your role versus the sheriff?
We both have the same role. Just
Okay.
because we are different uniforms, we both have the same abilities, same authority, everything else. It's
Okay.
just that the sheriff's office, they contract with the township for X amount of hours, and during that time, when they're not on, you have us.
Okay.
Same thing goes, say if there's a call in Salem Township, there's both a deputy and a trooper in Salem Township. Whoever's closest to that call will respond. So we're working together.
Okay.
Yeah,
What
we
are your
both have the
hours
same-
compared to their hours?
What's that?
What are your hours compared to the county's hours?
I think you're Monday through Friday.
Well, yeah, there's two deputies now that work from Washtenaw County. And then I work straight afternoons, except for Thursday and Fridays, I'm off. The other deputy works 3 days out of the week, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday. And then he works afternoons, Thursday and Fridays, and the day I'm off. So there's always a deputy here, at least at 12 o'clock at night, 7 days a week.
Right. And then state police were on 12-hour shifts, and we have 3 detachments within this county. We have Salem here, we have Sylvan, just out near Chelsea, then we have Saline detachments out of the police department there. Our guys are on 12-hour shifts, and just like tonight, we have 2 troops starting out of the detachment. They start at 6 o'clock, they'll be on until 6 in the morning, and it's just a rotating cycle. So they'll work 3 days on, have 2 days off, work 2 days, have 3 days off, or vice versa, yeah. This is the cycle for us. So it doesn't matter what kind of hours they work. When we do not have a trooper working out of the detachment on a specific day, we might have troopers working out of Saline who might come over here if there's an issue, or out of Sylvan, they might come over here if there's an issue. So there's always troopers within the county to answer calls for service.
Contact numbers?
Contact numbers for emergencies, obviously 911, and then we're dispatched through Metro Dispatch, which is, I guess, housed or manned by Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office. So anytime you call 911, it's going to be through the Sheriff's Office. They dispatch for us in this county. Different counties, the state police, we do our own dispatching, but this county is kind of unique.
But a non-emergency?
There's a non-emergency number, was it?
I have it right here. Actually, there's a few more handouts floating around, so if you did not get one of these yellow sheets, they do have a bunch of different resources, but the non-emergency is 734-994-2911.
Thank you.
And I guess another thing that I would kind of harp on is that we have numerous incidents, like say, someone notices that something's missing from their garage, so that their garage open and there's something missing. There might be 10 other people who know something's missing in their garage, they don't call us. We want to know that stuff. We want to know.
So Dwayne,
So we want to know.
In a case like that, do you call the non-emergency and say, I think I'm missing something?
Well,
Or do you call 911?
you have to be missing something.
Okay, well, I
Right,
mean, if it looks
right.
like, you say
Right.
I had
That's
my
not emergency
generator
number,
there
then
that's
I would
gone
call
now.
non-emergency number, but we would like to know.
So call the non-emergency or the emergency?
Non-emergency.
Non-emergency,
Yeah,
tell them that there's something missing.
Right, your emergency number, that's for true emergencies. In case someone's hurt right now, there's a bad crash, house is on fire, someone's in my house.
Okay,
But if someone stole your prescribed Vicodin out of your purse, call the non-emergency number. We don't want to tie those lines, especially on a snow day where there's a ton of crashes. We like to keep those 911 lines open.
okay.
For true
And
emergencies.
what about a suspicious, you mentioned suspicious person? Do you call non-emergency or emergency, or does it depend?
I think that would probably depend on
If
the
they're in the
situation.
area still, I'd go ahead and call the 911 number.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's gonna
Yeah.
depend.
As quickly as we can get the information, the better off we are. And just like Trooper Zook indicated, a lot of times people will be like, oh, it's just whatever, my golf clubs, I'm not gonna make an insurance claim, I'm not gonna whatever. But once you start putting all of them together, and then it does add up to something, and not only does it add up to something, but it also helps us in determining kind of locations of occurrence. So one of the things that we like to help people with is doing what they call target hardening. So just don't make things as accessible as they otherwise would be. Lock your cars, lock your house. If you have an attached garage door, lock the door from the garage to your house. Don't just assume because your outer door is down, everything's good. And in fact, over in Scioto Township, they were having a rash of people actually going in through unlocked garage doors while the homes were occupied, and just kind of looking around. So keep your items locked, and I preach it all the time. I go home, and behind me I lock my door. Where I live is not that much different than Salem, but it's just a habit. Anything you can do to create some time and some distance that you would know something's amiss is helpful. Don't leave valuables laying in your purse, in the garage, out in plain sight. If you're gonna leave it there, tuck it in your pocket or take it in the house with you. Same thing for, line of sight at your front doors and your windows. I went to a house and to try to make contact, and the lady's purse was sitting 2 steps inside the front door and big glass panels in her door. So if I was that person, it wouldn't take a whole lot to grab her purse and be gone before she even knew anybody was even there. So there's a reason that people live in Salem. It's a nice little community, it's small, people know everybody, you know each other, which is great, because when there's somebody around that isn't familiar, we can get notified pretty quickly, but it's a crime of opportunity, and I'd second what Trooper Zook said. Before assuming the position I'm in now, I was out in Dexter, and I can tell you that the teenage drug use is, sadly, just kind of something that we're seeing more and more of. So unused prescriptions, there's a Red Barrel campaign that they're kicking off actually countywide. And there'll be different locations throughout the county where you'll actually be able to go in and just drop your unused medications into the barrel, and then we'll dispose of them appropriately.
How do we find out those locations?
As opposed to, we'll send something out once they get it. I know they're in the final stages
Okay.
of it, so we'll send out, I'm sure, a media release. They're set up with their locations. So I know they're gonna be at our substations. I'm not sure which one might be closest here. I would guess maybe our main.
Yeah, well, I know Aaron Murphy, I think you work with probably on that.
Yeah, Marlene.
I know Saline PD has one, Brighton State Police, we have one, I think Pittsfield Township has one, I believe. And again, we're trying to get, hopefully, if we can get one here at Salem at the attachment for you guys, that would be outstanding. It's just a matter of them being made, and then, as far as pickup, because they fill up quite quickly. They really do, and they're big, huge containers, and they fill up pretty fast.
So I wanted to just speak to Neighborhood Watch in general, in kind of the format. Obviously, everyone here are our eyes and ears. We want you to watch, report, and observe. Don't necessarily need people chasing anybody down. That's not what we're advocating at all. But to help us out. And even if you have one of those circumstances where you saw somebody and they just didn't look right to you, and you thought, I'm in a hurry, you have 40 other things on your mind at that moment, and you drive to work, give us a call and let us know. Even if the person is gone by the time we respond out here, sometimes it can not necessarily be uncommon that if there was a burglary that occurred during the day, we're not going to know that until homeowners come home anyways. By you making that call, that at least helps us put some time frames together and gives us some advantages there. So on this, I handed out a phone tree in this digital age. I don't know as if phone trees are totally obsolete right now or not. And that's typically how it was set up to be used for the neighborhood watch, is one person gets some information and passes it on. Always, if it's something of a police matter, please call us first. If you can't remember our non-emergency number, but you still want to report it, you know, just make that phone call. Go ahead and if they're busy, they'll say, is this an emergency, and put you on hold if you're not. But so that is obviously one way. So a notification system of some sort should be in place. However that gets worked out, it gets worked out. Groups can vary, groups can be different. There's certain areas of the township that may want it one way, certain areas may want it another way. There's actually the software out there that you can program in X number of phone numbers. You can either pay by the month if you have a lot of notifications to be made, or you can pay and obtain so many credits, and then each text is like 2 credits or something. They're through the website, but they're similar to, you know, like the school districts have their call-out system. You know, they can program a message and then punch it in, and it dispenses to all the numbers. That's out there. It's not that expensive. And that way, you know, it would take some upkeep to maintain and put in the numbers initially, but then it would also allow for easier access of everybody getting that phone call. So that's something to look at. With the digital technology, people don't necessarily have to meet as often anymore, because a quick email gives a lot of people information without having to wait to come together and then discuss whatever occurred over the last couple, 3 months. So go ahead and use that technology to your advantage, whichever is easiest. We don't advocate one way or the other than we'd like to know that there's a notification system in place. Because if we have something and we need to reach out to the neighborhood watch groups, we need to know who that person is, and then not necessarily worry about that the notification system's in place and moving forward. The Nixle system is a great tool. We use it. We're getting more and more of our staff trained on it as a way to put out messages. You can put out community, advisory, or police matter messages. The nice thing about Nixle is you can sign up for whatever area that you want to receive notifications from. So if you live in Salem but you work in Pittsfield Township, you could actually program in both those requests. So, you know, if you're driving to work, you could get a Nixle message on your either phone through a text message or through emails. Sometimes you'll get a text message if it's a long piece of information. It'll say, please refer to our website, or please refer to whatever with the rest of the information. The way that our system is set up is if we actually publish a Nixle message out, we can click on 2 boxes at the bottom, and it will also post to the sheriff's Twitter and our Facebook page. So there's 3 ways to get that information out pretty quickly with just one kind of person sitting there putting that message in. They can be very useful. You know, one of my first times in my position, I got a phone call from a deputy who said, hey, I got a phone call from a resident. Did you hear this? And I was like, no, but that's exactly what Neighborhood Watch is. So thanks for the information, because it's neighbors talking. And you know, out here you're rural, so your neighbor or your block community divided up could be a couple square miles, you know, depending on how you go about it. For the rural areas, it's even more important to kind of know your neighbor. Be familiar with at least the comings and the goings of the vehicles. One of the things that I always encourage people not to do in rural areas, well, it's really regardless, but especially in rural areas, if you have an expensive item that gets delivered, maybe more so around gifting times, don't take it out of the box and then take your box and set it out at the end of your driveway for the garbage man. Because it's not only the garbage man that drives down those roads, it's also individuals who could be looking for an easy target. So if you have a, you know, 50-inch plasma box sitting out there, they're like, So if you can, wait until the last minute possible, the morning of, your garbage pickup, your collection, rubbish collection, to kind of put those advertisements out there. Right? There's nothing you can do with it other than just kind of be aware of it. Anything suspicious? Copper, abandoned houses, bank foreclosed houses. You see tracks in the snow and you know nobody's been there in months, give us a call. Any of that type of thing is really helpful. So our position is to support Neighborhood Watch in whatever format, however you guys work out that notification system, just so we know what that process is if we need it. It has been useful to us in the past, not only in, you know, attempting to locate people that we might be looking for, you know, somebody walked away, or, you know, a child that was lost, and send something out, but it's useful just for regular community business as well. And so we have that. On this resource page, so those are kind of the two, that's the one handout. The other handout is actually a coordinator update sheet. That's something that we're gonna try to get a good handle on this year, to figure out exactly where our neighborhood watch groups are throughout the county. So if in fact you are one of the block captains or the coordinators, if you don't mind, if you could fill that out and I could collect it, or if you know, drop it off to John or Matt during the day, they can get it back to us. That's just another form of us keeping in touch with those that we know are active and want to be involved in the neighborhood watch system. This form is just kind of a quick resource guide for you if you should need it. So we have all of our numbers listed here. The Salem deputies actually come out of our Superior Salem substation at the onset of their shift, so their number is listed there. Any place throughout the county, these are all our community stations that we have listed there. The county deputy neighborhood watch is Deputy Nancy Hansen, and then we have Deputy Mike Morocco, who works in Ypsi Township specifically for the neighborhood watch group over there. We've included our sheriff's website. On the sheriff's website, you can go to a crime, they call it a crime mapping portal. It's actually really quite neat. So you can kind of bring, if you want to see how much crime has been reported within, you know, the corner of 6 Mile and Chubb, you could put it in, and then it allows you to make various selections, and it will actually bring up that information to you right there. So you don't have to wait. As long as you have an internet connection, you can kind of go take a look at it and see what it shows. Humane Society phone number we included, and as well as jail inmate information. I know that actually our dispatch, our 911 operators, field a lot of calls about inmate questions. So if you do have that, you can either preferably go to this inmate number, or I guess there's one number we missed, but that is 734-971-8400. That's just our general information loop. So that will prompt you through, do you want booking, do you want records, do you want this, do you want that? So you can also use that as a tool to get to where you need to go. The Nixle system you can sign up for from our website. If you go to it, it'll say Nixle, and it's quite easy to sign up for. You just punch in the areas you want notification from. When I was in, the nice thing about it is that the computer doesn't necessarily know boundaries. So when I was in Dexter, we were so close to Livingston County, Hamburg, and Unadilla and Gregory out there on our borders. I put in to get their information, so you know I was able to get that, whereas our communication and our daily interactions doesn't always happen with that staff, so that it is very useful. Phone number for records if you should need that, and the Neighborhood Watch program is a resource, USA on Watch. You can register your Neighborhood Watch program actually through this website as well. It has a bunch of resources and links that you can use for there. We had some training, it's called, the training was called Leads Online, and that's actually what the website is Leads Online. However, the nice part of it is that it has a civilian side. And on the civilian side, you can actually go and create an account and register all of your belongings. So you could go and put your TV with your serial number, your model number, whatever you need. That information just sits there until you need it. If you should happen to be burglarized and they've taken some stuff, you can get in touch with them and print off the report. So we have the serial numbers. I know it can be a daunting task to record that stuff, but it's incredibly useful to us if in fact we recover property. Usually, a lot of times it's not uncommon that when you finally catch up with somebody that's been doing a bunch of these, we have a lot of property that we can't ever account where it came from for a variety of reasons. So serial and model numbers are incredibly useful. If you record it on your own system, digitally, please have it stored someplace other than just on your computer. Because if they take your computers, your information just left with them. And that has happened. Take the time to do it, and then make sure you take that extra step. Print it off, save it to a thumb drive, send it to an email to yourself and leave it so you could access it from another computer if you had to, something like that. There's also, I don't know if anyone has teenage drivers or anyone aged 15 to 21, the Sheriff's Association, the National Sheriff's Association, so we are participating as well, is participating in a stop program, and I'm sure you're familiar with it because Livingston County actually has all 5 of their high schools that are using this program as their parking permit. And what it is parents who have teenage drivers can fill out a quick form. You get a sticker, it looks like a stop sign, it says Stop Michigan, has a number, and it goes right in the upper left-hand corner of the driver's side. As a police officer, I was kind of like, why would it be there? I mean, we don't usually go around to the front of the vehicle, we come from the back. And they want it there to be a reminder to the teenage driver that that vehicle's registered through the Sheriff's Association. So if law enforcement has contact, the only thing that a law enforcement officer needs is the general stuff we get on a traffic stop, but just that stop sticker number. We make a quick notification, an email to the Michigan Sheriff's Association, and then the parents are either notified either email, if the registers have included their email, or a letter sent. So if you do register, I registered my son, I did it on email, not to think that kids would be devious and try to beat you to the mailbox if they happen to get stopped. But one never knows. Stranger things I'm sure have happened, and it's just a quick reminder to the kids, we're watching out for you, and we're going to get notified if you get stopped, regardless of whether you get a ticket or not. Just because you're stopped doesn't necessarily mean that they received a ticket, it just means they had some sort of a contact with law enforcement.
What is that called?
Stopped, S-T-O-P-P-E-D. And from our website, you can go to the community tab, and then there's another tab underneath that says Young Drivers. You click on that, it'll take you right to the registration website. I know Washtenaw County is going to try to move forward this year in doing exactly what Livingston County did, is using that, partnering with the high schools to try to see if we can promote that program as used for a parking pass. And the nice thing about it is they're willing to work with the school districts to have individual colors, so you can actually tell if there's a car out of place. They're not all just red and white.
Someone mentioned earlier before the meeting started about home safety, as far as if you go home on vacation, we're on vacation. I think someone mentioned that earlier. Just some tips for you. How many of you guys have seen, like on vans or vehicles, you got little stick figures on the back? The husband, wife, the dog. Yep. Yeah, you guys have that stuff on yours? No. Okay, good. That is not a good idea to have it on your vehicle. And to tell you why is you got people out there, criminals, okay, they know, okay, there's a husband, wife, and they got 2 kids and 2 dogs that live inside their house. So just imagine that you're going to Metro Airport and you have your luggage there and you have your nice little ID tag on your bag that has your address on it, your phone number, your name. And then you have someone else, who sees your vehicle, okay? They got X amount of people, 5 people live in their house, there's 5 people here at the airport. Look at their tag, there's no one at their house. So let's clean it out while they're on vacation. So if you do have that and have family members, I suggest that they take it off. I know it's cute and everything, Same thing when you travel. Only thing that's needed on your luggage is maybe your first name and your phone number. You do not need the address. If your luggage gets lost, they will call you. They will call you. The only thing that they need to know when they call you, if your luggage got on a different flight, is say, hey, where do you live? We'll have one of our people at the airport deliver it to your house when you guys get home. So I would take that off of your minivan and take it off of your luggage. It's a good idea. Another thing, especially winter months, it's snowing outside. If you're away on vacation, you know, you might want to pay the neighbor kid 10, 15 bucks to shovel your snow, or just have your neighbor, you know, drive in and out your driveway to make it look like someone's there. You can take the trash off. Just make sure it looks like it's maintained. Those are the biggest things that we see, because, you know, like Sergeant Geesey said, people are driving around, they're looking, okay, there's no tracks in the snow, no one is there. And it's a house that's people are living in right now. Same thing as far as your garage doors open, if you leave them open all the time, same thing, they're going shopping, look down the road, they know exactly what's in your garage, and they're going to look for the opportunity to go up there and take something out. So just make sure you keep those garage doors closed. So just little different things like that can help you guys out immensely. Save you a lot of heartache.
If you are taking off for a while, for some vacation and to bring us back, well, I can't say warm weather because today it's very warm, but a couple days, not so much, I don't think. I have 19, they said. We can actually do vacation checks or property checks for you, and that can be accessed through our website as well. It's a quick form you fill out, I get them, I then forward them to the appropriate station sergeants for assignment to the staff. And
we also have it as well.
It's a nice little tool. Just make sure you let us know who's going to be there. You know, the last thing your animal keeper wants is to see one of us, and we're like, oh, you're not supposed to be here. So we also offer that as a service, and there's another tip you said that came up. I'm trying to think of. The biggest thing with Neighborhood Watch is know your neighbor.
Can I ask something? If you guys do drive-bys on my house, isn't that going to be a tip-off to the crook?
Not necessarily. I mean, that kind of depends on how involved you want us to be. I mean, does that mean we're going to pull in your driveway once a shift? So
I live on Woodside. It's a small 8-house street, private street. There's no reason that you guys have. I've seen two. Sigourney was up there once, and the Blue State car was up there once. And I've lived there for 40 years. It would seem like if you guys came by every day, somebody would notice.
They might.
Okay.
Absolutely. So it's whatever you're comfortable with. You can put whatever comments you want in there. We have some that say, you know, just check on, you know, whatever day and whatever day, taking care of the rest of the days. So.
But you also have to keep in mind too, okay, if they are driving by every day, it's probably going to be the same time. And for a criminal, they're going to, okay, when are they going to come? They have no idea. And if they're going to break someone's house, they're already geeked up nervous. I mean, they're going to be so paranoid, they're not going to want to mess with that house. You know, it's just one of those things. It's the unknown for them.
Yeah. They don't know why we're driving by.
We could be lost, you know.
Yeah. Oh, that was exactly my tip. I'm so glad that conversation went there. So my tip was, Garmin's, people use GPS systems. If you have your home address programmed in it, and the bad guy breaks into your car while you're at the movies, they hit home and they know exactly where you are. Yep, and it's a couple years ago, 2 summers ago, or 3.
So quality 16 there.
Yeah, there was a good decent rash of that occurring, and actually we were getting called from the movie theater saying, my car was broken into and my Garmin is gone, can you check this address? And sure enough, even by the time we got there, they've been cleaned out. So if you do use that device, I know it's real easy to just kind of click home. I wouldn't keep it stored in there. And then there was another question. Go ahead.
Yeah, Nixle had a statement about some telephone wires being cut, I think, down on
Superior Township. We've received some information both through calls, service requests for us, which technically they come in as a malicious destruction of property because they're cutting cell phones. We don't know what else is occurring. However, some conversation has occurred with the AT&T service people in that area, and it may very well be in advance of an attempt burglary at the house, because they're trying to cut the phone wires for the alarm system in advance of doing the actual burglary. If you do have an alarm system, two things: if you have it on or even out exterior motion lights, it can be really easy just to ignore them, but there's a reason that you have them there. They're not necessarily always an animal or high wind, so take a few minutes and go look just to make sure. And the second thing is, make sure your alarm company contact information is up to date. There's nothing worse than going and not being able to reach a key holder to find out, you know, hey, this door was open, I walked through, it looks okay, but I don't know, I locked the door when I left. So if you do have an alarm, please make sure you keep that contact information up to date. Anything else?
Any
Jeff,
questions?
anything to report?
No, just like you said, the telephone boxes were getting slammed. Goffredson, Joy area, north end of Superior, south end of Salem. Nothing in the Salem yet that I'm aware of. If you see anybody around the telephone box or electrical box, and it's not a regular company or a regular looking vehicle, just call us right away. We'd appreciate the tip. I'm trying to, I think there's over $100,000 worth of damage already in these boxes. So,
That was the main boxes you're talking about now?
the ones on the streets.
So yeah, the ones on the streets, in the corners, and. Mhm. Anything else you can help me with?
Yeah, on the Nixle system. Prior to Nixle, because Nixle had some starts, and so it was up, down, up, down. There was a thing called the email alert system.
Yep.
Is the email alert system now no longer used?
It is infrequently used. In fact, more people use Nixle than the email alert system, and that's one of the questions on the updated coordinator list, is
Yeah.
are you a part of that system? We're trying to actually gauge how many people are still a part of that and active with that.
Got it.
Now, that's not to say that sometimes an email to a specific group may be more beneficial than just a general Nixle alert, but.
Yeah, that's not the question, it's
Yeah,
whether or not that
so
system is,
it's-
because in my group, I was using it,
Mhm.
because that was the means of people getting a more reliable alert that something's going on around them,
Sure,
okay? They would get an automatic email alert
Yep.
from that.
yeah.
And with Nixle being up, down, and up,
Mhm.
that became, and this was probably a little more than a year ago, that became a little unreliable as well,
Yeah.
because there were some business case issues of money involved
Yes.
there.
Mhm.
So what happens if you are gonna be going out of the email alert system and you don't know?
I
And
think,
that's really what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Did you go out of it and I don't know it?
no, it still exists. It's used very infrequently. I think there may be a transition out of it in the near future, but if and when that occurs, everybody that is on that system will get notified in advance. So
Okay, so it's still active,
It's-
because I didn't get a notification of that.
Yeah.
But I haven't been getting anything from there
Right.
either.
And-
It's like it just did a slowing, dying death.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's exactly what kind of happened between the two of them, and,
Yeah.
yeah. Anything else?
Hi, I guess it's my turn. So, first of all, I want to thank the sheriffs and the MSP guys for coming out, because they're the unsung heroes. They help us out a lot. Without their support, we couldn't do what we need to do. Predominantly what we use these guys for is the motor vehicle accidents that we have out here. And we get a lot of them. We get a lot of high-speed crashes, especially with the 2 lanes and the speeds that we have out here. So we couldn't really do our job without their support. So my hat's off and thank you guys for helping us both as teams, as they said. They really do help us out tremendously. One of the things I want to talk a little bit about is some of the changes we've had within the fire department is that we've gone from a Category 2 to a Category 1, which means basically we're going to go on more responses than we have in the past. We've been working with the township board and deploying the small vehicles out there, and our response times are much quicker than we've had in the past. Our goal is to, our firefighters are our citizens. So we're deployed within the township, and our goal is to have these smaller trucks, at least one of them on scene quicker than we have in the past instead of centrally dispatching. So we're continuously working on trying to get our response times down so that at least we get one firefighter on scene that can assess the situation, whether it be a medical or a fire or a car accident or whatever the case may be. And it's amazing what you can do as far as with one radio and one firefighter, what resources we need, we have the right things coming, and access to that. So I want to speak a little bit about stuff that helps us help you guys. So let's start with road signs. We have a lot of sites out here that are pretty rural, and it's pretty hard to get to your location. We've got houses that are back behind trees and back behind woods, and you've got little numbers on the mailboxes as far as your address. Now, I don't know anybody about your eyesight, but mine's not getting better. And driving, most of our speed limits are around 50 or 40, 45. It's really difficult to read those coming. And generally, when you're calling us or the police, you want us there fairly quick. So we're encouraging people to get those green signs that help us get to your location quicker. Anybody that doesn't have those, or your neighbors that don't have those, we ask that you consider purchasing larger numbers so that we can see them and help us get to your location. The other challenge we have is that some of the driveways have overgrown with brush and trees, and the cars have a tough time getting down there. I can guarantee you, if a car has a hard time getting down there, the fire apparatus is certainly not going to make it down there. And if we have to fight a fire from the road, or in the case of the ambulance, which is big as our trucks, as far as a box, we're going to be having to wheel a patient all the way down your driveway. In some cases, that's a quarter of a mile for some of you folks, or longer. So, I'm sorry? So, again, let us help you help us get there. So, signs and clearing the driveway so we can get clear access to there. I can appreciate the privacy that you would want, but think about the UPS truck. If the UPS truck can't make it down your driveway, we're not going to make it down the driveway. There's been a lot of discussion about Nixle. We have a Nixle account within the township. I don't have to contact the sheriff's office. I can log in and give a Nixle alert. So how many people have Nixle accounts? A couple. So it's free, the first thing. If you're not computer savvy and you don't have a smartphone, you can still sign up for Nixle, and it will give you other alerts, emails, things like that. So you don't have to have a smartphone. The next iteration of Nixle is going to go geospatial, which means that if you sign up for Nixle, as you drive through an area, it's going to give you alerts knowing where your cell phone is. So if you're driving through down in Tennessee and the sheriff's office says I-75 is closed, it's going to alert your cell phone and says pick an alternate route. So that's the next iteration of Nixle. So it's free for public responders and public entities such as the township, and you're going to see it grow more and more. They make their money through advertising and stuff like that. So we've used it once at the fire department. We'll probably get more use of it as we get more tech savvy with it. There'll be a link on the township's website to sign up for it. I would encourage you to encourage not only yourselves but the neighbors to get to it. They don't sell your name or anything. They realize the value of it for responses. So again, we're encouraging, because as you're aware, the sheriff's office and the state police send out information, and we hope to do that shortly. Yes, sir.
Question, so when you do an alert, it goes through the Washtenaw County, so if we're already hooked up with Washtenaw,
No, it doesn't.
we have to set up also to
For Salem.
connect to Salem?
It'd actually be Salem Fire Department.
Okay.
So
Glad I
it'll sign up
asked.
for Salem Fire Department. Typically, what I would see the alert for would be more in the fact that we have a road closure
Right.
or something
Severe
to that
accident.
nature. Sheriff's office is pretty good. I can call them at dispatch and say, fire something off. Generally, we don't have computers out in the field, so they have it back in the office. It's a little bit easier to do that than on a day like today. Speaking of motor vehicle accidents, we've been getting a number of those. If you're aware, we had that triple fatality on Christmas Day that was tragic. We're still seeing some people, again, enforce the seat belts and airbags. We're seeing people walk away from accidents that just a few years ago we didn't see that. Distracted driving, we're still seeing the texting. We're still seeing the results of that. Again, you know, it's this more neighborhood watch, but I'm going to preach the thing about work me out of a job, please. The other thing is we're an unmanned fire station. We're an unmanned phone number. We've gotten phone calls where people have said, you know, I've got a fire, I've got a medical to our fire department phone number. That is not the number to call because that does not get checked. We don't have somebody here. We get, our pagers go off, we come to the station or we respond directly with our vehicles. So please get the word out to your neighbors and stuff that 911 is truly the number that you want to call for an emergency, not our phone number here. We'll be happy to answer any questions you have related to burn permits. That's more appropriate to call that number. We'll get back to you. Unless, of course, something's on fire, call 911. The other thing we ask is that if you, we have a number of gated communities in the area, that if you change your codes, please let Central Dispatch know what it is, because if not, we'll have to use the master key. And cutting your locks off generally doesn't make people happy. But we have a few gated communities or have gates that are there. Please pass your code to Central Dispatch, or there is also Knox boxes or Knox keys. And a lot of the businesses here have bought into the Knox system. And what that is I have a master key to that. That's controlled strictly by the fire department. We lock those keys up. If there's a call, like to the library has a Knox box, we can use our master key, open that key up, and there are a set of keys to the building that we can get in and shut things down, which we have done. For example, frozen water pipes. The alarm came off. It's a 30-minute drive for the key holder. We can get in there, shut the water down, and reduce the damage that occurs. So as far as neighborhood watch, you know, we have been called out generally because we're local for burglaries. We don't like it. They just like big red fire trucks showing up with lights and sirens, generally scare people away. Please restrict us for the fire calls and the medical calls. The true experts are these guys. Besides, they have a gun, we don't. Is there any questions that anybody has? I kind of flew through a lot of this stuff. We do, like I said, we are one of the departments that does medical and fire response. We stabilize you until HVA gets here. We've had great support with HVA. They're stationed generally in South Lyon or in Plymouth, so they're fairly quick. By the time we get here and get your vitals, their arrival. We also have called in to play quite frequently, unfortunately, survival flight. The helicopters have come out here for a number of the crashes, and they've been great supporters of us, again, closing down roads to land those helicopters. Yeah,
Jim, did you talk about the road signs? What's going on with that right now? Are we going to start doing that again? Did we talk about that?
That's a good question. Is there a desire or a need for or a request for? I have a couple questions for you since I've been shooting on information. The township used to do green road signs. They have stopped doing it. Is there a need or a desire for the township to go back doing those again?
Well, if you want us to have them.
Well, there's outside suppliers. The township has done it in the past.
Oh, the green sign, that's a good idea.
Yes. So the township could look at going back at those.
One thing, the township would pay for those, it would be much handier. get it done.
There's your supervisor, that would be something we could talk to him about.
Yeah, don't we have a bunch of material and
I think we have some material, I'm not sure what we have.
we make them ourselves?
I've seen
I don't
pictures of
remember.
it.
I think if you read that fire department Wichita report, it would tell you that they're up in the attic of the writer house.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The other thing, is there an interest for anybody learning in the community for CPR? So one of the things that I would propose is that we have a wonderful town hall, we have trained instructors, if folks in the community are interested in it, of holding some classes where people could come in and get their CPR and AED first aid card. And we started with the library staff, and they were very gracious, and you know, we've got trained instructors, we have the mannequins here, and truly an AED and the first aid is what can save somebody's life. So
we just contact you if we're interested? And
well,
and how does that work?
well, the first thing is, it sounds like there is some interest here. Let me see what we can do as far as scheduling, and we can post some stuff like that. And if you want to drop me an email, let me give you my email address. It's not going to be real tough. It's firechief@salem-mi.org. So it's on the website, it's Salem's website. Yeah, we're here for the community. We're part of the community. Anything we can do to improve the community, that's what we're about.
Can you say it again?
It's firechief@salem-mi.org.
Is CPR and first aid together?
Yes, that we can do a combination class, or we can do CPR and AED. We do it through the American Heart Association. Probably the cost of it would be the pass-through, what it costs for the card. It's good for 2 years, and you know, we'd like to see everybody at least have a basic understanding of CPR and AED. The AEDs are getting very sophisticated now. They'll walk you through the process. And as I said, nobody's getting younger here. So, you know, again, this is something I'd like to reach out to the community and help them with. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to back up to the road signs, the address signs. I have one, but if my neighbors want one, and you said they were outside suppliers, whom can
Yeah,
they
let me,
contact?
we'll put some of that information. Let me talk to the supervisor, some of the
Okay.
folks, to see what we can do. I'm
Okay.
putting it out as an outreach and see if there's an interest. But from our perspective, and probably from the police side, if we can't find your address, it's going to delay our response.
I know
And
that-
we've already had that issue.
Yeah, I know the sheriff told us that at our house when they did the walkthrough, that they liked them. And what they didn't like was that other people didn't, so they didn't know if they were on the right track
Right.
until they got actually to our mountain. Okay, so are you gonna send out an email, or will it be on the website?
Do you have a listing here of people signed up so we can shoot them mail?
I can get it. Some have, some have.
And we can just post it on the website.
We'll be happy to post it on the website if you want to do it that way too.
It doesn't matter, as long as, you know, I wanna just tell people that, and then they're gonna say, well, where do I get it, so.
We'll have information on the website.
Okay.
It is, I would second that, it is incredibly helpful to have that. It's readily visible, and a lot of times, not only are we looking specifically for the address we're going to, but we're gauging our distance based on the addresses we're coming by. So the more reflective signs out there, the better for us.
We'd also encourage you, if you do have a medical emergency, and if you've got a house that's kind of way back there, or we have a number of people who own stables and stuff like that, if you can send somebody up to the road or direct us where we're going. There's nothing more frustrating when we know we have a person down, and it's 6 or 7 stables, or they're back in the back 40 there. We have a number of people that have a lot of property out here, and it's sometimes hard to find you guys. So, you know, send somebody out to flag us down. All those things that you can do to help us get there quicker will make our job easier, but also get to you quicker. So again, we're here to serve you folks. Anything that you have issues or questions or comments, again, my email address is firechief@salem-mi.org. Drop me a line. We're always looking to improve our services, to improve the way we can do things, and that's our goal within the department. Any
I have
questions?
One more
Yes.
question. On burn permits, when you get the burn permit, do you tell that only that the office that you're going to burn? Will you also call?
Good
do you do
question.
both?
You don't have to call the fire department to burn within Salem Township.
Okay.
However, that being said, if you're gonna have a large burn that's gonna cause a number of your neighbors or people driving down the road to say, my gosh, their house is on fire, we'd appreciate a call ahead of time so that we can let dispatch know so that we're not running out to your house with 4 fire trucks greeting you while you're cooking your hot dogs. And we get that a lot.
What number do they call, or do we call?
If you go ahead and, our phone number is, I'll get it for you.
248.
Okay.
248
349
349
1690.
1690. And ours is going to be extension 2.
Extension.
Just leave us a heads up, you know, a little voicemail that, hey, we're going to do a large burn. We get people do field burns. Those generate a lot of smoke and give people some worries. Give us a heads up. That way, you know, we're not freaked out when we see 2 acres on fire.
Okay.
Because we do have a lot of people that will call on it. So any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
A little clarification on that. So you're gonna burn in your backyard. Do you have a non-emergency number to call to say I'm gonna burn? You don't have to call 911 sometimes.
No, there's no requirement to call if you're going to do a normal burn within that. If you're going to do something large, call our normal number ahead of time, the township, and just hit 2 and leave us a message. You know, if you're going to burn your field and it's a couple acres, probably a good idea to give us a heads up because we're going to get a number of calls that there's a huge fire. And we do get a lot of brush fires out here, so we will respond on these because we don't know if it's a real fire or not. But we do have an inventory of all the burn. Everybody's filled out a burn permit, but we still like to go on them because sometimes people have burn permits that get out of control.
How often do those permits need to be renewed?
They're good for 1 year. And it's actually within the permit, so if you go online, you can read all the requirements of it, but they're generally good for 1 year. Thank you for good questions.
Thank you for your hard work.
Oh, I appreciate it. It's all my guys that do the work. I just, and back to you, or?
Well, SharingSalem did this part of it, and there is a committee that was established with the township some time ago that the representative is here. So there's cookies and that back there, and Mr. Witkowski, I will let you address people.
I'm good. I just, again, want to thank the trooper and the deputies for coming out,
Yeah.
Mr. Rockwell, Chief Rockwell. And, you know, any information we have, we will put on the website. Nixle is probably one of the most important things, and I was just talking with the deputy about that, is that now that Salem has its own Nixle alert system, which we might change, we might start using that for both police and fire. Because a good example of that is if Deputy Gorney had a need to find somebody. There's a missing person. Rather than blast all of Washtenaw County with that, we could blast just the Salem area where he's looking and be able to get that information out to the people that need it. And that would also limit the number of blasts you may get if you're only getting Salem Township. So we'll talk about that, Tim. And again, I appreciate.
Yeah, it's all Nixle, it's Nixle. When you log on to the website, it's going to ask you what areas do you want to be alerted.
Okay, that's not the county though, that's the township.
Well, we have one for the Salem Township specifically. So there's one for Washtenaw County and there's one for Salem Township.
Well, what it is, when you, if I could just
Sure.
dovetail on that, when you go in the Nixle and you put in your address or you put in cross streets, it will give you a list of everybody in your area. So if you're up on the north side of Salem, you may get Northville. You may get Lyon Township as an option. You don't have to check that, but it may give you that as an option. If you're down close to Canton or Plymouth, you may get that as an option. Again, you put in your address or cross streets, Nixle does all the work for you, and based on geographic location, tells you where you should, you know, check. So
Brian, on the Salem Township website, where do you find that? Is it under community?
it's going to be under the community, under the neighborhood watch.
Okay.
We're having a little issue with our provider of the website,
Okay.
and we're going through a little bit of a growing pain to convert that over to some different things. So it will be up there probably by the end of this week.
Okay, because I tried getting in there and I.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
we're having some issues, and they're technical issues that I don't want to get
That's
into or do anything with, but
I'll try it
we
next
will.
week, and if it doesn't work, what do I call you?
You can
Call.
call the supervisor, he's the one in
Okay.
charge.
All right.
Gary, and his is just Gary@salem-mi.org.
Okay,
So, he loves to, yeah, he'll take any of those emails, but yeah,
okay,
we have been told by the provider that by the end of this week, everything should be up and functioning well.
okay.
But that'll be up there in Nixle and we'll talk about it. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.